Good morning and welcome to worship at Robert McClure United Church. I'm Reverend Kelly. Thanks so much for joining us in worship today. The Spirit in me greets the Spirit in you. You know, Robert McClure United Church is an affirming ministry, which means that our intention is to create a brave space, ensuring everyone hears, understands, and experiences that we all belong just because we are. Today we want to acknowledge that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, including Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai, the Tsuut'ina Nation, and Stoney Nakoda First Nations. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. And we acknowledge that this worship is taking place on Treaty 7 territory and that we're all Treaty 7 people. We light the Christ candle to remind us that Christ is with us and lives in our hearts. The Apostle Paul said that God has made the light shine in our hearts so we could know the glory of God that is seen in the face of Jesus Christ. Today, we're starting a worship series that explores the second letter written by Paul to the church in Corinth. So that book is called 2 Corinthians. And our theme for the day is God's comfort, God's consolation. And what I like so much about Paul's writings and why we're going to spend some time taking a look at Paul's writings is that he writes about what it means to be church, how to be a follower of Jesus, how to be a community. The church in Paul's time was brand new, so they didn't have 2,000 years of tradition to rely on like we do. And to make matters worse, the church in Corinth and Paul had some conflict, and parts of the letter deal with that conflict. Today, we as a church and as a society are also dealing with difficulties. How are we to be a church when we can't get together in physical ways that we're used to in the before time? How can we be a church in these unique times? Let's see what Paul has to offer us. But first, let's sing together, physically separate, but let our voices sing together a joyful noise.